then, it's gonna just be a quick mention and they're gonna be gone. So right now you have the luxury of choice. Go ahead and pick those up.
Okay, now this is the $10 coin.
Okay.
Okay, 2.5 times the gold of the $5 coin. That's the normal thing. I've got 7 of these left out of the 49. The $5 coin, I think it looks like we're down to maybe a dozen coins at the most, and there's many people more than that in the ordering process. Okay. Only 49 of the $10 coins have ever been done. I have 7 remaining.
Wow.
So 42 of those.
Oh my gosh.
42 of those have already been spoken for. The $50 coin, the biggest one, which is over $2,000, sold out. Yeah. Okay? Long sold out. As a matter of fact, it's almost $3,000 for the $50 coin. That completely and totally sold out. So what I've got right here is the $10 coin. So they do a 5, a 10, a 25, and a 50. The 50 is sold out. Okay. The $5 coin on the verge of selling out. Once again, this coin, they only have 7 of these is all that there is going to be available. And then I have the $25 coin, which I'll show you here in just a second for 30 seconds or so. There's only 2 of the $25 coins left out of the 29 in the limited edition, so 27 of those sold. Once again, 42 of these already sold. This is solid gold. This is proof. On this coin, it might be easier if we can get in there.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the W right below the 8. See in the 2018, see that little W right there in see it in the rays, right in between the rays that you see right there. There's the W that denotes this as a presentation or West Point mint coin. Only 5 of these now remaining. Only 5 of these now remaining. And once we sell, now understand, when I do first day of issue, that's it. I mean, that's not just what I'm going to be able to do in terms of this trip or this visit. Once I sell this out, that's it. It's done, gone, and over forever. I never, ever get to bring this back. And so there's only 40, look at this, there's only 49 for worldwide distribution available.